But if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask them, raise your hand or something, and then they'll answer them. Or if you have anything that you're like, ah, my kid would have benefited from somebody answering this question, please feel free to ask it. But we've also got some questions that are written right here. Any one of you feel free to raise your hand and chime in. Question number 1. And I'm actually going to pick a specific person because this is too hard to just have you chime in. Yep. Simon, how many schools did you audition for? And tell us a little bit about it.
So yes, as was mentioned earlier, with the college audition process, a lot of it is a crapshoot. It's kind of stressful. One thing for myself, and I look back and I don't know what I was thinking. I was crazy, but I was like, I'm just going to apply to 4 schools that that I really would love to go to, or and like that. Just the message I told myself, just to test myself, was like, if I get in one of these, I'll be proud of myself. This will be the affirmation I'm on the right path. But for most people I know, it's upwards of 10, upwards of 20, and especially with great programs like Unifieds and other events like that, where a bunch of schools come together. You can audition for so many great schools in one place. But one of the big hurdles is just simply the application fees and all those different things. So that's why I'm grateful for this scholarship, because it is normally upwards of 10 or 20 schools with easily $100 application fees each. So yes, personally I only did 4 because I was like, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. But yeah, that was my path, and I'm grateful for how it turned out. But yeah, it's a crazy, crazy time for sure. So things like this are really helpful.
You guys tell that's not the answer I thought you were going to give.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I was like, yeah, you look like you audition everywhere. Somebody I know auditioned to more schools. Nathan, how many schools did you audition to?
I'm also probably not the person to ask. I was
Ask
like,
a girl.
hey,
Ask a girl.
Yeah, I'm asking. You auditioned to lots of places. I was there.
Ask a woman.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do that. That's better. I just know more about his. I don't know. You auditioned at a lot of schools. You auditioned at a lot of schools. Lily, tell us about the schools you auditioned to and about the acting audition process.
Yeah, so I initially applied and auditioned at 28, which is not fun, so I really don't recommend doing that many. And then I also did the college audition project, and I believe there was like 50-ish there, but you know, you're not doing 50 auditions, so, but like I did get to audition for 70 to 80 schools total, which was exhausting, so don't do that. But yeah, the acting process is definitely a little bit different because I didn't have to do any songs, thank God, or dance, which was great for me because I can't sing or dance. But I did have like 6 monologues, so it is a little bit different. They kind of are looking at somewhat different things. I had to do a lot more work with like Shakespeare and classical, which I had never done before. So shout out to Michelle. We were talking about MJ's studio. She was fantastic because I really could not have done any of that like classical work without her. So yeah, that's kind of the difference, the main difference between like acting and musical theater auditioning.
I'm going to piggyback off of what Lily just said. As someone else who just did the acting auditions, I know she said she didn't have to sing any songs. Prepare one song if you're going to do acting auditions, because I did have somebody ask me to sing a song, and I was ill-prepared. So, although they won't often, prepare one song if you're an acting major. Now we're going to ask Caitlin Sumner.
Yeah!
Caitlin, what are the performance opportunities like at your school?
Hello? Okay. We have a lot of student work, which is one of my favorite things at BOCO. I just did a 10-minute play directed by the seniors in the directing emphasis. And then they have their full lengths in the spring, which is really fun. It gives a lot of opportunities for people that don't do the main stages, because not everyone is like guaranteed a main stage. And the main stages are two a semester or something like that. I don't know. Someone else from BOCO, do you want to, yeah? Okay.
Does anyone else want to chime in about performing opportunities at whatever school you go to? Raise your hand so we'll turn your mic on.
Yes, so I go to Elon University, and there are also a lot of student productions. We have a thing called Grand Night every year, which is the students will direct, choreograph, music direct, and be in student-led numbers. So we'll take numbers from any Broadway show that we like, and we'll put it all together with 10 to 15 students. And that's always a great thing, is because the whole thing is student-led. So you get experience doing choreography, you get experience doing, for me, music arranging, music directing, and all these other things. And then I also, main stages, we have 3 a year, and there is another separate from the music theater program, like a student-run company almost. It's called Renegade, and they put on actual shows. So if you don't get into a main stage, or if you just want to audition for their shows, they do different shows. So lots of student stuff, lots of main stage opportunities, lots of acting and MT can audition for plays and musicals. That didn't make sense. Actors can audition for musicals, MTs can audition for plays, and it doesn't matter, so it's really great.
Thank you. If anyone wants to chime in on this one, what is one of the scariest things about the auditioning for college programs? Take it in there, I'm not calling on you.
Waiting. Waiting. Just after you do it, just sitting there waiting. It's really frustrating. It's also scary. That's my answer.
Oh, sorry. I'll go and then Noah goes. Wait. Wait. Yes,
Seriously.
I remember. Oh, yes. No, I remember talking about this like one of the first weeks I got to college, and it's like everyone says like be unique, be you, and then you're like, what does that mean? I have to like be all weird and quirky and cute and find something that's different about me. But it's like, I was talking to the head of my program, she's like, it's literally just like actually just be yourself. You don't have to find something that's like different about you. Like I feel like there were so many people, especially my year, who just like tried to tried to wear the craziest outfits, tried to just like, but it wasn't them, and it's just, I feel like that's what I learned the most, just like put yourself into whatever you're doing.
Can I bounce off them?
Yes.
Okay,
Don't
good.
bounce off. No.
Yes, what she's saying, and like, be yourself, but also like choose songs that you like to sing because you like to sing them. Because I know a lot of voice teachers, and no hate to any of the voice teachers listening, but a lot of voice teachers will tell you what songs to sing, and they will give you rep, and they will give you all these things. And if you don't like the song, don't sing it. Like it's that easy. You just have to sing stuff that you like, and in the audition, people will see that and see you in the song because you like it. I think that's it. That's all it is to be yourself. It's just choose stuff you like.
Same absolutely goes for monologues. Do things you want to do because you want to do them, because something in it resonates with you, because that's going to be more than whatever fake thing you can bring to it. Now, Noah, please.
I think going back to the scary part is the fear of rejection for me, because that's kind of that deep looming fear, and also like the waiting for it. That's awesome. But I think it's kind of a fear of rejection, thinking that you're not enough or that you aren't talented enough for like a program, and that's just something you have to get over. And it's something like I really learned through my college auditions was becoming more confident myself as a performer and putting myself out there. And of course, I got rejected from many places, but I learned that I was enough no matter where I got rejected from or where I got accepted to, because that did not define like me as a performer or me as a person, because they're always looking for certain types of people.
That is an excellent segue into my next question. Thank you, Noah. Next question was, what was that rejection like for you guys, and what was a good way that you would recommend to go into this knowing that there is probably some rejection ahead, right?
Hello. Oh, there we go. I would say for me, it was definitely heartbreaking for sure. Like I did 10 programs and I thought like, oh my God, I'm gonna do musical theater, this will be so good. Like, yeah. But definitely after getting rejection on rejection, I was like, oh my God, these places are competitive. I was like, oh my God. And I didn't really know what to do. I was just like, oh, I'll just do South Carolina was kind of on the side. I was like, oh my God, I'll do music and see. Music wasn't really like something I wanted to do, was my first choice at all. But definitely doing that and doing, I did UTK, I did University of South Carolina for music. And I auditioned and I was like, oh, like that is different. And then they had like performance, and now they have musical theater on the side, so I still get to do it. I'm doing musical theater performance certificates, so I'm doing that as well. So I think definitely just like having that path of being patient with the process, because I think at first I was like, oh my god, like I don't know what to do. But then after figuring out what the programs have and just being patient with it was definitely a big process for that. So yeah.
Yes. Ben, you want to speak on that same one?
Yeah, so this isn't necessarily about the college auditions, but it carries on into college. The rejection, once you get in, it does not stop. It's just a life lesson. I did not get into many things this year as a party, but I am still dealing with it. I am in Fiddler on the Roof in January, but I did not get in my first time into this cast. I had to get in the second time when 2 ensemble members dropped due to a technicality. So my advice is to just keep going, no matter how butthurt you are about it. And that's it. So there you go.
This one's on your longer, I don't know why I'm reading. Actually, Sheila wrote some of these questions, and one that she wrote that I really like is, Emily, what? It says, Emily, what? So you want to speak on that?
I have nothing more to add.
Couldn't have said it better myself. What's something that really surprised you guys about the college audition process, that you didn't expect when you started, but that maybe pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised you about the process?
How fast it goes. Enjoy it. It's not all them.
Yeah, dude, I agree. I think it's fun. I really enjoy my audition process. I know a lot of people have like horror stories about theirs. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Unifieds were a blast, and Noah has something to say.
There we go. I think one of the most surprising things was how nice most colleges were, and they like want you to be the person that they accept, and they want to give you all this money. Like that, they're rooting for you, and that's the most important thing to know, is that they're here like to support you. In most cases, I know there are some places where they are like, okay, go, and well, that's tough, but you know, there was a surprising amount of positivity, which I was really grateful for.
I would say just like the whole process is a surprise, and I feel like not having expectations of what college is going to get into, or like thinking too much into something that was said during your audition, or like just expectations was surprising for me. And like I wouldn't have guessed in a million years where I would be going, and it's just like it. And I think a lot of people would agree, like no, like it very often it doesn't. Wait, not often. Very not often. How am I? Anyways, you know what I'm trying to say. Infrequently, like you don't end up where you think you're going to. So you
frequently you do not end up where you think you will end up.
Like I would. Anyways, yes. I feel like a lot of people, I would say, sitting here and doing this, did not think they were going to be going where they're going. That's what I.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jasper.
I just wanted to bounce off of what Noah said really quickly. I think it's good, like, when you find those colleges that are nice and seem to actually take legitimate interest in you. I think those are the ones you want to try to latch on to the most, because that's where you're going to get, like, paid the most attention to, and, like, they're going to follow up with you, whether it's in the college audition process or when you're actually at the school, and, like, see how the process is going. Like, I had multiple people that I did little like trial lessons with, and they all followed up with me, saw how I was doing, saw like what my thought process was, and they were all very nice in the trial lessons, and gave me some really helpful pointers, even though I wasn't even going to the school at that point. So I'd say those are the ones to stick with for sure.
Yeah, Lauren, no, you had something?
I think the most surprising thing for me was how difficult it was to make the choice after hearing back from schools. Because I focused so much on like, all right, what schools are gonna take me? Like, who's gonna accept me? Then I didn't realize like, I also have to make a choice after that. So I advise you to ask questions when you go and meet with people from these schools. I work at admissions at Eastman, and a lot of times it's going to be students, and you can get great answers about what student life is like, and just what the city that you're about to like potentially move to is like, from these students who are experiencing it in the moment, who are working there, going to school there. So ask questions, because it'll make the decision easier. Maybe not much easier, but a little easier later on, so.
Totally. I actually remember the day Lauren got into Eastman, and we were all like, Lauren's going to Eastman! Lauren's going to Eastman! And she was like, I mean, I don't know that. Like, I might go somewhere else. And we were
I
like,
didn't decide, fun fact, I didn't decide what college I was going to until 10:30 p.m. on May 1st.
She's the last
The
person.
Rochester deadline was 10:59 p.m. because they're an hour ahead, so.
She was the last person I know that made her decision. And we were all like, the day she got her letter, we were like, she's going to Eastman School of Music, that's so cool. And she was like, simmer down, I don't know.
Ask her questions, maybe you'll be able to choose a school earlier.
Lily, I saw you had something to say.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to add on to what Kelly said, because I think especially a lot of people going into the audition process kind of focus on those top programs that everybody hears about, and those are obviously fantastic. I didn't even know my school existed until the pre-screen deadline date, when my mom came into my room and was like, hey, you should apply here as just a little, just a little backup, just to have another one on the list. And I was like, okay. So I just kind of submitted a pre-screen. I had already filmed for a different school. The audition came, it was my last one. And I literally almost backed out because I was so exhausted at that point. It was my last one. I didn't really care that much about the school. And my mom was like, no, you're going to, you gotta finish this out. And then I literally came out of the audition and I was like, well, I'm going there. So thanks, Mom, for that. And then also talking about just the length of it was also surprising, because I did think I would at least know where I was going by late March or April. And I didn't. I found out that I got off the wait list to Arizona, which is my dream program, at 11:30 p.m. the day before decision day. So that was really stressful, but ultimately super excited that I went there. It was definitely terrifying to decommit from another school and commit to one in about 24 hours. That was a very quick turnaround, but ultimately it was definitely worth it.
Oh yeah. So she had 27 schools, and you walked in on the deadline and said, out of 28! So mean. That's so mean. I'm glad you went there, otherwise that would have just been mean. Yeah, Josh.
I think one of the most important things that I'm getting from all of these comments is that, personally, I believe that if it's meant to be, it'll happen. There are different circumstances and things surrounding your audition. You could have a bad day, everyone has bad days. Or maybe they're looking for a specific type of performer that year and you don't fit that mold, but it doesn't say anything about you as a person or a performer. And so I think it's important to remember that you will end up in the place that you're meant to be at, like Lily talking about how she didn't expect to go to this school. It just kind of happens that way. I think you connect with certain people. And I also think, to add on to that, that one of the most important things when looking for schools isn't just, like she said, the top programs. Like, this celebrity went to this school in LA, so you should go here too. And that's really cool, but there are things like community and student life and the city that it's in and things like that that will make your college experience more enriching. And so I think something important to think about when you're auditioning is to really see how you connect with the people that already go to the school. Like Jasper was talking about, him connecting with the people in the trial lessons, the people that are going to be teaching you, like, who do you feel most comfortable with and feel like can help you grow, and not just focus on what's the top school. Like, I looked up top 10 music schools and this was #1, so I'm going to audition, like that kind of thing. So yeah.
Totally. And to bounce off of that, 100% I would say talk to whoever is there representing that school. If you're doing it at the school, it is so likely that there are students there running your audition, and talk to them. Like, say something to the students there. They're never gonna spit at you and kick you in the shins. Like, they're gonna, sorry, Nathan, but they'll talk back, and you're bound to connect with one of them. Talk to the people who are running your audition. If there's no students around, ask them a question, because chances are you're gonna connect with somebody in one of your auditions, and that's gonna feel like the place you wanna go to school. I auditioned at a bunch of schools. I'd never heard of the school I ended up going to. I went there because in the audition, the people who were running the audition really, like, I felt a connection to the way they were teaching. And so I went to school there. I still go to school there. Please, Simone.
On top of that, I just wanted to say that it is as much your audition for that school as it is that school's audition for you too. So like everyone's saying, ask the school questions. And with the original question, like things that were surprising, once you're in this environment, and most times people are nice, there will always be those schools, but when you realize when it's a welcoming environment and you're there, just own that room. I realized I had agency in this room. Like, it's my time. This is my space. Like Noah said, they're rooting for you. They want you to go there. So take your space, take your time. It's your audition. Sing stuff that speaks to you. I know people that like wore the school colors of every school they auditioned for and like sing a song that the graduates sang just to try and like spark something in them. Sing stuff that speaks to you, because if it doesn't speak to you, it's not going to speak to them. So yeah, take your space. It's your time to shine. It's your audition. Remember that. And I feel like the college audition process is like the one time where you can be like selfish, where you can say like, this is my time to shine. This is my space. This is what I love to do, and I'm going to share that with you. And if you accept me, that's okay. If you don't, that's okay as well. But for this time, for my 232 bar cuts and my monologue, I'm going to share what I love, and we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, that was awesome. Does anybody here have any questions for anyone sitting up here before we close out tonight?
This is Emily with Rosemont. I'd like to ask her number.
I asked the question. It was one.
Yeah, Emily, what?
No, I just wanted Emily to speak briefly about the after graduation life, because she's in New York City right now. So I wanted, all of you guys to hear about that a little bit.
Listen up, Kendall.
Yeah.
It's coming at you.
Yeah, you can talk about your week.
Your last week.
Okay, so I moved to New York City a few months after I graduated from college. This was pre-COVID, so it was a little bit different, but basically I just kind of threw myself into auditioning, which is something you'll kind of like learn more about in various programs. But when it used to be in person, you would go to all these audition buildings and sign up and wake up really early in the morning and kind of just like wait your turn in line for a chance to audition. Now it's basically the same thing, just all virtual. But basically, the best advice I would give to anyone post-grad, coming up for you, buddy, is just to put yourself out there as much as possible, and just get your face seen by as many casting directors and just people. I kind of have a new philosophy of like, if you're offered a performance opportunity, just take it and say yes, even if it's a concert or a cabaret or something. It can never hurt to meet new people, make new connections, and perform live in front of people, especially in this time when there's not so many live performance opportunities. In addition to that, I have my fun little survival jobs. I work in a restaurant and I nanny, and basically all my friends do something like that. Just trucking along on the side, you make friends who do the same things as you, you find your community, and it's actually a lot of fun moving to New York and kind of pursuing that. There's a lot of people in the city that want to do the same thing, so yeah.
She said all of her friends do that. All of her friends work at the same
Yeah, we all,
restaurant.
I work in a restaurant, all of my friends work there, we're all actors. It's actually quite fun, so. And Sam comes and we play trivia together, and one time we won first place, so.
Dad's proud.
There he is, second straight. I like that Ed had to say that to me. All right. You in the Zach.
First off, I just have to say you guys are incredible and it was so much fun to watch. So,
Thank you.
So, just speaking from personal experience, but also I'm just curious, does anybody on stage have to work in addition to attending school?
I did when I was in school.
Yeah. Do you feel like, I think the people that, right, we were establishing the scholarship for, obviously, like, do you feel like that pressure in addition to your school, how have you handled that? How is that, do you feel like your programs try and set you up for the future? The reality that, in the majority of us, right, will have to figure out something, right? We're not going to get cast in that perfect role, or do you feel like your program sets you up for that, or do you have any advice for those that may be in the situation where they're having to work in addition to all these other responsibilities that they're given through their programs? Any advice for those students? And yeah.
I can speak on this. So I did work a little bit, like my sophomore and junior year. I worked at a coffee shop, and I will say that colleges, while you're in college for musical theater, it is so hard to work at the same time because you're in rehearsals, you're in classes, you're in maybe a show, you're in maybe another cabaret, maybe you're in a student showcase. Like, that's 5 things in addition to a job it's just crazy. So I wouldn't highly recommend that, but I will say Elon does set us up. I can't speak to anyone else's program, but my program sets us up really well to find what we like to do that's not theater, so that when we're not doing theater, inevitably, because stuff like COVID happened, we can find something that is equally as fulfilling. And even if it's just a survival job, like retail can be fulfilling, or working in a restaurant can be fulfilling if you have good friends there. Like, it really set you up to like have a very honest approach to it, because we're not going to work all the time in theater, because you just can't. Like, there's not enough shows. So, but yeah, working in college is hard, and programs do set you up to work afterwards.
When I was in college, I had 4 different on-campus jobs at one point. I did assistant stage managing, I worked in the admissions office, I was an RA, I was like a camp counselor, like tons of stuff. I did other jobs on the side. Like Nathan mentioned, it is not the schedule, and it doesn't necessarily lend itself to easy work schedule, but for some people that's just the reality, is you gotta do it. And I would say it's maybe the college doesn't necessarily, sometimes they're not so sympathetic if you have to put work before an audition or put work before a rehearsal, but it definitely sets you up for a realistic future, because what is the harsh reality about pursuing musical theater after college is that you have to spend hours and hours of your time auditioning, spending your own money on voice lessons, dance lessons, that kind of training that was built into your schedule. And then on top of that, you have to support yourself, make your rent, and pay your bills. So you basically don't have a second to breathe. But if it's what you love to do, then you're going to make it work. So I would say for the people who are in college who have to work those side jobs, it can suck, especially when some of your classmates might not be, doing that on the side. But it definitely, I feel like it set me up for success after college, because I already knew what it looked like to have to kind of like go the extra mile and work really hard while also balancing all of the training and the rehearsals and the auditions.
I'm just gonna hop in and give a little non-musical theater take. I don't know how it is at other schools of music, but at University of South Carolina, there are churches in the area that are like constantly looking for music students to fill their choirs out for Sunday services, and I personally have not been able to take up one of these positions yet, but I know many people in my choir who have, and they just go in for a couple hours on Wednesdays and go to church on Sundays, make a quick buck. I don't know if that's exclusive to University of South Carolina. I don't know.
As someone who currently has one of those jobs, yes, I do that. I actually have had a number of jobs in Rochester. A lot through school. I assist in stage manage, I work in admissions, I run audition days for a few years, and I was a note taker for my classes. That's a thing, people will pay you to do that, that's crazy. And then I work in a church, so like Jasper was saying, I just go in on Wednesday night, sing a rehearsal, go in on Sunday and sing in the church service, and that is usually pretty far outside of like what class times would be like, so if you feel like that's something that you would be good at and you'd be willing to do, it's definitely easier to fit into a schedule. I don't know, the biggest advice I have is like, get a planner and write it all down. Because that's the only way to really make extra like side jobs happen. I had a point where I was working 3 of them at once, and so just making sure I kept a schedule of what times I had to be in class, because for me, I was like, class is the first priority, I'm paying to be there, so I don't want to skip anything that has to do with that. But then just fitting everything else in, it helps when you can visually see it.
I have been working during school since I've been in school. It's always been something that's important to me, but also that my parents instilled in me that I will have to kind of put in the work to help them support me. My freshman year was rough. I had started working as a mental health nurse in a mental hospital during COVID because I had a friend that worked there, and he told me that he thought I'd be great at it. It's a great way to help people, so I said sure. Was working night shift from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Continued this job into my freshman year. Occasionally, it was only a few days a week, but sometimes I would get off work at 6 a.m., go to sleep for like an hour or 2 hours, and then go to class. That's not something that's not an ordinary thing, but things like that I think do kind of prepare you to have to put in that extra work and to go far and beyond and not just have school be your one thing, because when you get out into the real world, like Haley was saying, you will have to juggle those different things. I quit that job for my mental health, obviously. So that, yeah. And then my sophomore year, which is this year, I was at one point working 3 different jobs just because I try to say yes to everything, just because that's how you meet new people. If someone's offering me money for something, I say, oh, I can fit it in my schedule. That's not always the case, but that's how my brain works. So I was working in a restaurant, that's my main job, and then I ended up helping assistant music direct at a middle school, which is one of those cool college jobs where someone's like, oh, you're a college music student, you can do music, come help me, easy money. And then I came across a job to do photography at a car dealership, and I was like, I don't know anything about cars, but I'm a broke college student, so I guess I'll watch some YouTube videos and do my thing. It was rough, but Emily is right, it completely sets you up to be better at time management and to be willing to put in that extra work to kind of support yourself, because you're not always going to have someone there to support you. And I think it's definitely important to be willing to be flexible and to do different things. Like you were saying about Elon, you said they set you up to want to do things other than music. I think that's very important, because if you have those side hobbies like photography or music directing, or if you sing and you want to sing in a choir, it's really important to hone those, because you're not always just going to be able to make a living off of theater. The jobs aren't always going to be there. So it's really important to find those other skills that you can employ outside of school. I definitely think every college student should at some point try to find some kind of side gig that helps them learn how to juggle 2 different lives. And yeah.
Yeah, so just to add on a little bit, I don't have a part-time job or full-time job or anything like that while I'm in school right now. But there is something I would just advise if you're going into college for this. There's a website called We Audition, and you can pay, it's like it's like $10 a month or something. You can subscribe, and you actually can get paid to read for other actors while they're filming their self-tape. Literally, I've done it at like 3 a.m. before. You can literally hop on whenever you want. You can charge however much you want for however much time you want. You can even do it for free if you want. But like literally at any time, and I charge $10 normally for 30 minutes. So normally for me, like one 30-minute session with one actor is enough to cover the month cost. And it's really fun, and you get to meet people, especially like in the film industry. I mean, I've helped people film for like who have booked Lucifer and like all these really big shows. So it's really cool to like make those connections with people that you may never see again, or they might get your contact, and you can literally do it at any point during the night. You can just turn on your notifications literally from anywhere as long as you have internet. So that's just something I definitely advise. If you feel like you can't fit in an actual like job into your schedule, that website has been super helpful, and like you're getting to do what you love to at the same time, which is really great.
Can you repeat the name of the website?
It's called We Audition.
Yeah, I'm writing that down. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Yes. Anyone else have any other questions? No. Awesome. We're gonna wrap up for the evening. I know you guys aren't exactly in one line, but stand up. Take a bow.